To begin this timeline, there's a little disclaimer I wanted to make first. For this timeline to happen, it will have to be like a combination of the original version we had of King Vegeta in the Bardock special and a version of him from the beginning of the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. Frieza still arrives above Planet Vegeta after having called all the Saiyans to return. However, like in the Broly movie, Prince Vegeta is off planet with Nappa, Raditz, and some other Saiyans since they ignored Frieza's orders. So basically, he isn't on Frieza's ship like in the Bardock special, so this isn't a rescue mission by King Vegeta. Also, as another side note, I was originally going to make this a full story where King Vegeta somehow beat Frieza, but I changed my mind, so it is now just a one-shot what if. Anyway, King Vegeta would still bring his men with him up to Frieza's ship and request an audience with Frieza, which Zarbon would go pass his information on to Frieza, and Frieza allows them in. However, the Saiyan Monarch and his men still end up fighting off Frieza's henchmen on the way to his private chamber. This angers Frieza, so he orders Zarbon to open the door for the king, so he can have his audience with Frieza like he requested. King Vegeta still attacks Frieza the moment he sees him, but this time, Frieza reacts differently. Instead of dodging and killing the king with one hit, he instead dodges his attacks and sends him flying into the nearby wall. Since Frieza is one to toy with people, he would have the perfect punishment in mind for the king. So, he exits his ship while in his hover chair as he starts to charge his death ball. The king would try to stand back up during this, but he would realize he was powerless to stop Frieza. Regardless, the Emperor still sends the death ball towards Planet Vegeta, which, unbeknownst to the king, Bardock still tries to fire a blast back against it, to no avail. However, he does get to have a front row seat to his planet and basically all his race being destroyed right before his eyes. Frieza was already laughing maniacally from destroying all the Saiyans, but King Vegeta's reaction to it was the icing on the cake for him, which the king was shaking in anger from seeing this as he fell to his knees. As he starts to slam the floor of the ship with his fist, he glares at the Emperor. His anger continues to boil over, with his hair starting to split between black and yellow. Sparks of lightning start to go through the air around the king, as the more he punches the ground, it starts to leave dents in the floor of Frieza's ship. However, he eventually rises to his feet, with his hair still flashing between the two colors. Though, it does eventually turn to solid yellow, as he has now become the Super Saiyan, which Frieza would have been confused about what was happening to the king, to say the least. When he sees that he has gone through an unknown transformation, a brief thought of fear would go through Frieza's head. By destroying the Saiyans to stop a Super Saiyan from appearing, did he inadvertently cause the Super Saiyan of legend to appear? Frieza doesn't have time to ponder on this thought, however, as he is quickly greeted with a punch to the jaw. Now, a major thing to discuss here is how strong is King Vegeta in his base form. All we know for sure about it is that it is less than Vegeta's power of 18,000. We also know that it was more than Bardock's power of 10,000, since Bardock was told at this rate he might eventually surpass the king. So, I will put his base power level at 11,250, which as a Super Saiyan, that brings his power level up to 562,500. I only chose this number because I've seen some power scalers put his base power level at that number. Anyway, this level of power is slightly above Frieza's first form power of 530,000. While Frieza is getting beaten down at first since he was caught off guard, this is a close enough gap for him to get some hits in on the king, as they would be fighting almost equally. At first, Zarbon and Dodoria would have been watching this fight in shock since King Vegeta had a slight advantage. So, they might try to interfere, but Frieza would stop them from interfering. He would mockingly applaud the king for being able to land some good hits on him, but he would then reveal that he can transform as well. King Vegeta has been shown to be arrogant in some cases, so he allows Frieza to transform. After all, he is the Super Saiyan of legend, so there's no way he can be defeated, right? Frieza starts off his process of transforming by charging up his power and blowing off his armor. He then grows into a monstrous size as he finishes transforming into his second form. King Vegeta would no longer stand a chance, as this puts Frieza's power level above 1 million. So, Frieza would easily be beating down the king, so he's just toying with him. He eventually gets bored and kills the king quickly by shooting him through the chest with a death beam. From there, he'll likely destroy the ship King Vegeta used to get up to Frieza's ship. Though, Frieza would keep what happened with King Vegeta a secret, so that Vegeta would never learn about his father becoming the Super Saiyan. After this, nothing would really change up until the Frieza saga when the heroes were facing him on Namek 25 years later. The change might happen in the scene where Vegeta's outburst against Frieza didn't work, so he started to cry. This time, instead of Frieza beginning to beat Vegeta down, he would taunt him. He would reveal how his father became the Super Saiyan of legend all those years ago, but Frieza killed him. It's hard to say, but this revelation could be enough to push Vegeta over the edge into becoming a Super Saiyan. He was already in a highly emotional state and feeling anger towards Frieza, so when he learns the news about his father becoming a Super Saiyan and still dying against the tyrant, it might be enough to make him become a Super Saiyan. If I remember correctly, Vegeta's power level at this time was roughly 1,500,000, so as a Super Saiyan, his power level would be 75 million. I know I made a similar fight happen in my video about Vegeta winning, since I included a short scenario about Vegeta becoming a Super Saiyan on Namek, but I made that one unrealistic on purpose. I made it to where he was able to beat Frieza somehow, but I'm going to keep this scenario more realistic. He would end up pushing Frieza into his full power, but he would no longer stand a chance at that point, so he would be killed by Frieza in a similar way as to how he normally is. Goku would have arrived during the fight between Vegeta and Frieza, so after Vegeta is shot through the chest with a death beam, he still is able to give a similar speech to Goku. From there, the rest of the saga would relatively go the same, but there might be a slight change towards the end of it. Frieza might have been weakened from his fight with Vegeta, so he wouldn't be able to use all his power against Goku. This means he might actually be killed when Goku uses the Angry Kamehameha against him. The only other change I see happening in this timeline is another minor change when King Cold arrives on Earth. Of course, he would be alone this time, but it might not be future Trunks or future Goku who kills him, depending on if we're talking about the future timeline or not. Depending on how strong Vegeta is by this point, since he has unlocked Super Saiyan earlier, he might be the one that can kill King Cold. So, to throw Vegeta and future Vegeta a bone, I'll say he got strong enough to manage to kill King Cold. His defeat against Frieza, even as a Super Saiyan, in combination with the news that Goku killed Frieza would motivate him to train intensely. So, this is what would have allowed him to get strong enough to kill King Cold. From there, though, nothing else really changes in the story. The only change is that Vegeta might be slightly stronger in the Android saga, but not enough to change anything. So, the rest of the story would go the same as it always does after this point in the timeline.